Welcome, everyone. We have a few reminders for you before we get started. Today's webinar will begin at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 1:30 p.m. Central Time, 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time, and 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. You are currently in listen-only mode. You should be able to hear us through your computer speakers. If you cannot hear music through your speakers, please try a different browser, such as Google, Firefox, or others. We will take questions at the end of this webinar using the chat box on the bottom left side of your screen. Questions will be answered during the last 10 minutes of the webinar. You will receive a certificate for attending this webinar for the entire hour. Certificates will be emailed to you on Thursday, October 4th. You may need to check your spam folder for your certificates. Hi, everyone. My name is Franciele Cagey, and I'm a nutritionist with the Nutrition Education, Training, and Technical Assistance Division at USDA's Food and Nutrition Service in Child Nutrition Program. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar on coaching and mentoring using a peer-to-peer model. This webinar is part of Teams Nutrition quarterly CACFP Trainers Circle webinar series. These webinars will be recorded and made available at a later date on the Team Nutrition website. Again, we will have time at the end of this webinar to take questions, and you can use the chat box at any time during the webinar to enter your questions. And we will try to answer as many as we can at the end of the webinar. Today's presenters are Xaviera Davis, who is a nutritionist and one of my colleagues at the Food and Nutrition Service in Child Nutrition Program. We will also be hearing from Lutina Cochran. Since 2010, Lutina has been an education and training specialist at the Institute of Child Nutrition. In this role, she develops resources, conducts training, and offers technical assistance to CACFP professionals. And our last presenter will be Emily Brinkman, who has worked for Kansas State Department of Education for the last 7 years. She is a dietitian specialist who works with Kansas State Department of Education's Team Nutrition Training Grant, the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program, and training development. And just to help anyone who still might be having difficulties hearing us through your computer speakers, you can call in by phone. Please dial the number on the screen, 866-740-1260. When prompted, enter the access code 605-4013. So before we get started, we want to know who you are. Please tell us your role and how you are involved in CACFP training. Are you state agency staff who plan and implement CACFP training? From a community-based organization who plans and implements CACFP training? Are you part of a government agency who develops training materials? Or a CACFP sponsoring organization who provides training? Or are you a CACFP operator who attends training and may train other staff? Or other category? So please go ahead and select one of the following listed on the slide. Okay, we have a lot of responses coming in. So it looks like we have a lot of folks from CACFP sponsoring organizations, and also a good amount in the other category. So it's great to have you all here with us today. We'd also like to know how long you've been working with the Child and Adult Care Food Program. Have you been working with the program for 0 to 2 years, 2 to 5 years, 5 to 8 years, 8 to 10 years, or more than 10 years? So you can go ahead and select the option on the screen. Okay, so we have, looks like the largest percentage of folks have been working with CACFP for more than 10 years. And then we have a lot on the newbie side, 0 to 2 years. So thank you again for you all joining us today. Now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Xaviera Davis.
Hi everyone, my name is Xaviera Davis and I am a nutritionist with S.M.A.R.T Child Nutrition Program. During this part of the webinar, I will provide an overview of some potential training resources from USDA's Teen Nutrition Initiative that you can use to train CACFP operators and providers on the meal pattern. But before we do that, I'd like for you to answer a quick question. We want to know, or we are interested in learning some of the challenges you face in delivering training. So what is the biggest challenge you face in offering trainings to CACFP providers? Is it obtaining travel funds, the need for additional training materials and tools, need for time to attend training, or keeping attendees engaged during a training? Please select one of the answers on the slide. So great. We see that the answers vary among the viewers, but hopefully the information we provide today can help with training resources and materials and finding ways to keep the audience engaged. To assist states and CACFP operators with implementing the updated CACFP meal patterns, Congress appropriated funds for the provision of non-competitive grants for states to provide hands-on training and technical assistance. Hopefully this helped with some of the funding issues and concerns some of you are having. The intent of the CACFP Meal Pattern Training Grant is to assist and support state agencies in providing job skills training for CACFP operators on ways to plan, prepare, and serve nutritious foods. States are encouraged to use existing training materials, such as the ones we are about to go over in the delivery of their training. States can also use other materials instead or in addition to what's going to be included in this overview. And USDA encourages the use of evidence-based training strategies and materials that are of adequate strength and duration to ensure that the training is effective and that CACFP operators gain and hone their knowledge, skills, and abilities in the provision of healthy meals that align with the CACFP meal pattern. Training delivered under the grants will strengthen CACFP operators' career skills and abilities to plan menus to incorporate cultural and regional preferences and introduce program participants to a variety of foods, serve all required food components in the appropriate serving sizes at each meal and snack, demonstrate the ability to modify recipes to provide the appropriate amount of food under the CACFP meal pattern, collaborate with families to meet the needs of all participants with food challenges, including food allergies and or special nutrition needs through CACFP meal and snack service, procure and maintain adequate amounts of supplies to properly prepare, serve, and store food, And many of the resources we will mention today can be used to assist state agencies with meeting those objectives of the CACFP Meal Service Training Grant. Many of you may already be familiar with Team Nutrition's CACFP Meal Pattern Training Worksheets. They can be used to empower CACFP providers and operators with the knowledge, skills, and expertise to implement the updated CACFP meal pattern requirements that became effective October 1, 2017. We have several training worksheets available online and in print in both English and in Spanish. Titles and topics include serving milk in the CACFP, grain-based desserts in the CACFP, serving meat and meat alternates at breakfast, methods for healthy cooking, and much more. These simple two-page worksheets include scenario-based questions or activities to test and reinforce knowledge of key concepts in the CACFP meal pattern. Scenario-based questions require more learner engagement and more thought than a regular quiz question. Scenario-based questions also provide a problem-solving environment that is relatable, and they provide a safe mode to practice. All of the activities on the worksheet include an answer key, and as always, operators and providers are encouraged to reach out to their sponsoring organizations or state agencies to discuss topics in more detail. And as you all may have seen last month, Team Nutrition released a new worksheet titled Adding Whole Grains to the CACFP Menu. This colorful two-page worksheet can also be used to train CACFP program operators on whole grain-rich requirements in the CACFP. This worksheet includes details on how and when to serve whole grain-rich foods, a list of whole grain-rich foods that can be served at breakfast, lunch, and snack, ideas on how to share information about the whole grain-rich foods with parents, caregivers, and families, and scenario-based questions and answers to test knowledge. This resource is available online on the Team Nutrition website. Print copies will be made available for free to CACFP providers, sponsoring organizations, state agencies, and others participating in federally funded USDA child nutrition programs this fall. All of the CACFP worksheets on the previous slide can be ordered, and each package contains 25 worksheets. They are all available in English and Spanish to meet the needs of the populations you may serve. Team Nutrition also offers the Serve Tasty and Healthy Foods in the CACFP and Adult Care Food Program posters that include the meal pattern for each age group in the child and adult meal patterns, and show sample meals for breakfast, lunch, supper, and snacks using photographs that were taken specifically for CACFP settings. These can also be a valuable resource when training program operators and providers on the CACFP meal patterns. As with the worksheets, these posters are also available in both English and Spanish. For each meal depicted on the poster, we provide the meal pattern in writing and also an image of a creditable meal that includes the food component and the serving size. We hope these colorful posters will appeal to visual learners. Visual learners like to see simple, easy-to-process images or the written word, and these posters provide both. To complement these training materials, last fall, Team Nutrition kicked off a webinar series titled CACFP Halftime 30 on Thursdays. These 30-minute webinars are held once a month and highlight the CACFP meal pattern training tools by providing an in-depth look at each resource and showing viewers how to apply the concepts described to meet the CACFP meal pattern. These webinars also include interactive features to allow participants to check their knowledge, demonstrate their skills, and ask questions. These webinars are held on the third Thursday of every month in both English and in Spanish. The English webinars are held from 2 to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and the Spanish webinars are held from 3 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The webinars are recorded and can be accessed on the Team Nutrition website a few weeks after the live webinar airs. As you can see, the slide lists all of the past webinars as well as the next webinar, which is scheduled for Thursday, October 18th. Again, all webinars are available in English and in Spanish. Individuals that attend the entire webinar can receive a certificate of participation. Additionally, the National CACFP Sponsors Association provides participants the opportunity to submit and track continuing education credits on their website for either viewing the live webinar or the recorded webinar. Registered dietitians can also earn continuing professional education credit units from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Commission on Dietetic Registration for viewing either the live webinar or the recorded webinars. These webinars might be another resource you can incorporate into your training. Another set of resources are the Nibbles for Health newsletters, which were just released on September 18th. They are designed to help CACFP operators engage parents of young children. The 12 newsletter series provides nutrition information on a variety of topics and includes titles such as Growing Strong with Milk, Whole Grains Make a Difference, and Colorful Fruits. The newsletters are available in English and Spanish, and they can be downloaded as a complete set, or you can select and print the topic of your choice. To view this resource in more detail, visit the Team Nutrition website at the address you see on the screen. To provide assistance with menu planning and incorporating cultural and regional food preferences into the meals served in your centers, we released 40 standardized recipes for CACFP that were inspired by various regions and cultures from around the world. Specifically, Central and South America, which includes Mexico and the Caribbean, North America, including native tribes and southern cuisines, Africa, Europe, which includes Italy, France, Hungary, and the Mediterranean, and Asia and Pacific Islands, including India and the Middle East. In addition to the recipes on the screen, which represent one of the regions I just mentioned, the recipes in this collection also focus on increasing intake of whole grains and vegetables. These trends can be seen with tasty dishes like sautéed tofu and broccoli, tabbouleh, quick quesadillas, and squash casserole. All of the recipes in this collection are available in yields of 6, 25, and 50 servings, and they all include a CACFP crediting statement for children 3 to 5 years of age. Nutrition education lessons and parent handouts are also under development to be provided as a complement to this recipe collection. The Food Buying Guide is another tool for training that might be of use to CACFP operators in your state. As many of you know, the Food Buying Guide contains food yield information for all USDA child nutrition programs and can be used by program operators to get information about how much food they need to purchase for meals. This tool is now available as an interactive web-based tool, a mobile app for both Apple and Android devices, and a downloadable PDF. The interactive web-based version of the Food Buying Guide also includes the Recipe Analysis Workbook, which lets program operators and providers enter the ingredients in a recipe to see what components the recipe can count towards and how much of that component is in one serving to generate a meal contribution statement. Here on the screen now, you can see a sample contribution statement that was generated by the Recipe Analysis Workbook. As I mentioned earlier, the Food Buying Guide is available as an app for both Apple and Android devices, making this information even more accessible to program operators. And other materials under development from Team Nutrition that can be used for training include Feeding Infants in the CACFP, which is meant to help CACFP operators implement the infant meal pattern, and the accompanying parent engagement piece, Breastfed Babies Welcome Here, which can be used to foster and strengthen relationships between providers and the parents around the important topic of infant feeding. These materials also include interactive learning features such as scenario-based questions and a pre- and post-test. This concludes my portion of the webinar, so I will now hand it over to Lutina Cochran from the Institute of Child Nutrition.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Again, my name is Lutina Cochran, and I'm an Education and Training Specialist here at the Institute of Child Nutrition, in which we are federally funded to provide cost-free education and training resources to child nutrition professionals. Today, I'm going to talk briefly about the importance of offering effective trainings and ongoing experiences in the CACFP. I'm going to share some strategies we use to help CACFP professionals succeed while in our trainings and beyond. And lastly, I will share how to locate and request some of our DN's resources. Focusing on this idea of effective trainings and ongoing experiences, why is this important? Let's take a quick poll to determine why. And the poll question reads, after a training, how much information does the average person retain without ongoing experiences, such as mentoring? 10 to 15%, 30 to 35%, 50 to 55%, or 60 to 65%? Take about 10 seconds or so to answer this question. Looking at the results, the majority of you stated 10 to 15%. So let's see how we scored. Okay, as you just mentioned, the average person retains only about 10 to 15% of the information covered in a single training when there are no additional experiences or ongoing reinforcement. For this reason alone, parent trainings with ongoing experiences such as coaching, on-the-job training, and mentoring increases the ability to retain and apply more information correctly. Also, pairing ongoing experiences with training increases efficiency. It reduces financial loss within the program. It cuts down on time for implementing tasks, but most importantly, it can give CACFP participants the knowledge and skills to help safeguard the health and wellness of the participants. Having said that, I'm going to share 3 strategies we found to be highly successful for effective trainings and providing ongoing experiences through mentoring. First, design a plan before developing the training. You may find this strategy surprising or a bit out of place for this presentation, but one of the best ways for providing effective training that promotes information retention happens during the pre-development phase. Having said that, there are 3 key points to keep in mind when designing your trainings. First, use a training model of some sort. The great news is there are several models on developing effective trainings. One I tend to use more often is the cognitive training model because it focuses on integrating the current knowledge with the new knowledge or the new information featured in the training. I found this model to be ideal in time saving for CACFP professionals, especially when training on implementing new policies and procedures. Another factor is time. When there's not a plan for the time of the training, one can easily incorporate too much information. So one way to create timely trainings is to apply the Bob Pike's 90-20-8 rule. It simply says all lessons should be no longer than 90 minutes, chunk the content in 20-minute sections, and incorporate an interactive every 8 minutes, such as a case study or a group discussion or even role-playing. Next, ask yourself, how will you know if your training will be a success? The best way is to create an evaluation plan early on. Here at the Institute, we develop learning objectives and the pre- and post-assessment during the design phase to help drive development. Then we use the results from the assessment to determine if there was an increase in knowledge. Also, we use our standard training evaluations to determine if the participant had a positive experience or if we need to make some changes to our trainings. So in your roles, consider incorporating an assessment and a tool to evaluate your trainings. The next strategy is focus on the training experience. The experience is a driving factor for retaining information because the better the experience with the great training, the better the chances for retaining and applying the information correctly. Having said that, there are 3 key points to keep in mind. First, prepare training participants to learn. When you attend a training, how often do you arrive thinking about work or other matters? Well, maybe that's just me, but how often do you think about other things when you arrive on the training day? Like many participants, some arrive ready to learn, while others, well, not so much. Therefore, it's important to prepare participants to learn the content at the beginning of each training. One way is to complete an icebreaker activity at the beginning of the training that focuses on why they are there and what do they hope to accomplish. Second, create an active environment through interactivity. In our resources, we include a variety of activities to reinforce the content. However, if a group size or a training room is not favorable to a specific type of activity, always have a backup plan of options to ensure your trainings are interactive. One great source for amazing and cost-free activities is the University of Oklahoma's K-20 Center. They have some amazing resources on a variety of different topics and areas. Last, repeat and reinforce. As you are delivering trainings, repetition is gold, solid gold. But in all seriousness, repeating those key concepts 2 to 3 times throughout the training reinforces them with stories and examples, and allowing participants to reiterate the key ideas helps to maintain more information. The last strategy focuses on incorporating mentoring as an ongoing experience. Mentoring is one of the most effective ways for ensuring someone is knowledgeable and confident to succeed in their daily roles, especially when they are new to the field or when there is change within a program or an organization. Through any of the variety of types of mentoring, such as virtual, group, peer-to-peer, it can help to create a culture of continuous learning. It can reduce anxiety when implementing new policies and procedures, and it can help to establish and achieve goals. But most importantly, mentoring can help provide support for CACFP professionals. Although the dynamics of a mentoring program vary across the board, the process for carrying out a mentor relationship are relatively the same. The mentor and the mentee advances through this 4-step process of getting to know each other, setting goals, communicating to implement those goals, and once the goals are met, closing the relationship between the mentor and the mentee and redesigning their roles as colleagues. Here at the Institute, we've had some exciting exciting opportunities in the past to bring school nutrition professionals together for a peer-to-peer mentoring initiative. While it was designed for school nutrition professionals, you will learn how the state of Kansas was highly successful with implementing the mentoring initiative for CACFP professionals later in this webinar. Now that I've covered 3 strategies we found to be highly successful with offering training to CACFP professionals and ongoing experiences, I'm going to share some information on how to locate and request ICN resources. As some of you may know, we offer an array of trainings, online courses, additional information, help desk services, and a variety of other options as well. And actually, this particular picture on the screen is our website. So if you look up under Child Nutrition Resources, you will find all of our resources, in particular Child and Adult Care Food Program. The training tab at the top as well, that features all of our trainings. And then at the very top where it says ICN e-Learning Portal, there you can find all of our online courses, register, and take those courses as well. But most importantly, you can find us at bicn.org, in which that's our website. Some of our resources topics are focused on training, such as best practices featured in our Foundations for Training Excellence. You can also find 3 CACFP meal pattern trainings and online courses on the latest updated meal pattern requirements on our website. Some of you may be familiar with the previous 8-hour version of this particular, the CACFP meal pattern requirements training. If you are familiar with that, these 3 trainings are simply modified versions of that particular 8-hour training, as we've discontinued the 8-hour version. However, again, we have a variety of trainings and topics to choose from on our website. Now, for those that are not familiar with the Institute, we provide trainings throughout the country. This means that if you request a minimum of 4 hours of training, have at least 20 participants, a location, and submit your request 8 to 10 weeks from the training date, we will send one of our regionally based trainers or an ICN staffer, such as myself, along with all of the materials to provide the training. Again, this is a cost-free service, and if we can be of any assistance, please take advantage of this resource. So, as I wrap up today, I hope this information covered was helpful and resourceful. If you could take away 3 points, remember to make providing effective trainings and ongoing experiences as a parent and offering that to the end user a top priority by designing before development, providing the best experience possible during training, and of course incorporate ongoing experiences such as mentoring. Most importantly, ICN is always here to help with your child nutrition needs. Thank you again for having me, and now I'm going to turn it over to Emily.
Hi, thank you for having me on the webinar today. My name is Emily Brinkman, and I'm a dietitian specialist on the Child Nutrition and Wellness team at the Kansas State Department of Education. I was invited here today to share a little bit about our experience hosting a Team Up for CACFP Success training. The Team Up training model is a peer-to-peer model that was designed through a collaboration between USDA and the Institute of Child Nutrition. This model has been used in school nutrition programs and the summer food service program, but the training methods and workshop topics are also relevant to CACFP operators, especially with the implementation of the new CACFP meal patterns. As part of KSCE's 2016 Team Nutrition Training Grant, Kansas Team Nutrition conducted the first ever Team Up for CACFP Success training. Team Up for CACFP Success is a unique learning experience that serves to enhance CACFP center and home provider food service by providing tailored technical assistance to CACFP sponsors who want to maintain a healthy environment and child meal program participation. For those not familiar, I'll just go over a very general overview of what the team-up model is. The team-up workshops consist first of panel discussions on specified topic areas. After each panel discussion, the group transitions into breakout sessions in order to continue the discussion of that topic as it relates to their program. The breakout sessions are designed to be an opportunity for participants and mentors to identify the key issues that program operators may be facing in the specified topic areas. To address these issues and some solutions to the issues, the problem management model, called the skilled helper model, is used. The workshop is comprised of lead mentors, and participants. The lead mentor is responsible for introducing the skilled helper model and SMART goal concept by providing an explanation of this process to the whole group. Mentors then presented best practices about the two chosen topics. We chose menu planning and food safety as our topics for the workshop. There was also an opportunity for community partners to share information about how their services may complement the work that CACFP sponsors are doing. After the presentations, the mentors and participants worked together in smaller breakout groups to develop SMART goals related to the topic. They were able to draw from experiences of their peers, their own experiences, and the community partner and best practice presentations that they just witnessed to brainstorm actionable goals. The lead mentors helped the mentor and participant small groups to guide them through the discussion, and then brought the groups all back together for a final discussion. The goal was for every mentor and participant to leave with SMART goals and action steps to increase success with menu planning for the new meal pattern and to help keep food safe. Part of making this skilled helper model a success involves having all mentors trained and ready to facilitate the workshop. During the planning stages for the workshop, we asked our CACFP consultants within the state agency to nominate a handful of sponsors that stood out to them as having strong practices related to the workshop topics of menu planning and food safety. Each sponsor that was nominated was contacted and invited to attend an afternoon training the day before the workshop as an introduction to the skilled helper model and to facilitating small group peer discussion at the workshop. When developing the team-up model, the ICN identified the skilled helper model as the best way to address the need of the participants. Someone once said that mentoring is probably the most powerful developmental process people can experience. The skilled helper model helps mentor from a different perspective, guiding an individual to find their own truth and their own solution. The skilled helper model aims to address four main questions. What is going on? What do I need or want instead? How will I get what I need or want? And how do I make it happen? These four questions are really three logical stages which lead to an ongoing action. During small group work, the questions in the skilled helper model were used to assist program participants as they developed goals relevant to their program operation. I mentioned a couple of times that our participants worked in the breakout sessions to develop SMART goals related to the topics of menu planning and food safety. For those not familiar with what a SMART goal is, it's an acronym that stands for specific. The goal should state exactly what you want to accomplish. Measurable. You want to know exactly how you're going to evaluate if the goal has been met. Achievable. Is this goal something that you can actually accomplish? Relevant. Is this goal based on your current or forecasted needs? And time-bound. Do you have a realistic time frame for accomplishing your goal? Looking at all of these different criteria of a SMART goal helps make sure that your goal is one that is well thought out and able to actually be implemented at the site. This one workshop engaged an impressive number of Kansas CACFP sponsors in coming together to network, learn from one another, have time for discussion, utilize peer mentoring as a tool for problem solving, and walk away with goals and action steps to achieve those goals. There were some sponsors who chose to send multiple people to the workshop, so in total we had 50 people that participated, which represented 44 different CACFP sponsors. To summarize, there are 5 major pieces that make up a successful team-up workshop. First, Short presentations from CACFP mentors were given to share their best practices and strategies related to menu planning and food safety. To add additional tools to the participants' toolkit, local community partners then shared their free CACFP resources to support implementation of the new meal patterns and food safety. The community partners provided resources to the participants through information shared in presentations and in the form of printed materials. By the time the participants heard both the peer mentor and community partner presentations, the room was abuzz with chatter about what they learned, and they were ready to discuss and brainstorm. Smaller breakout groups were formed with a mentor leading the discussion. It was in these smaller breakout groups that the mentor facilitated discussions as participants identified program challenges and developed solutions with their peers. These ideas were then transformed into an action plan by the creation of SMART goals. Participants took their action plan home as a guide to implement the strategies and solutions identified in the workshop. Lastly, one piece of the workshop that Kansas Team Nutrition did adapt was continued technical assistance with implementation and achievement of the SMART goals by the workshop participants. This was done through anonymous online surveys where participants were encouraged to report their SMART goals. A follow-up survey reminded participants of their SMART goals and asked them to report their progress on those goals. Kansas Team Nutrition provided all participants with contact information and encouraged them to reach out to our staff or to the workshop mentors for assistance with implementing identified goals. In our experience, the quality of the presentations given by the mentors was exceptional. They shared with the whole group their creative successes with implementing the new meal pattern and creating the culture of food safety in their programs. The unique presentation topics for menu planning varied widely, from cooking from scratch and the advantages to that approach, to concrete examples of how to use a cycle menu for menu planning, to pointers on how to make the transition to the new meal patterns a breeze, websites and resources to spark creativity, and cultural variety in menu planning, among many other relevant topics. Participants really enjoyed working in the small peer mentor work groups to learn from one another's experiences in order to develop relevant and attainable goals. From workshop evaluations, the training strategies that were identified as most helpful by participants included networking, discussion and brainstorming, peer mentoring, and SMART goals and action plans. As Lutina discussed in her presentation, there are many benefits to the peer mentoring process, and that was evident in our workshop as well. Participants left feeling that they weren't alone in the challenges they faced in their program operations, but also that there are solutions that are working for others. Coming away with a goal that was developed as part of a group discussion, as well as being armed with best practices gained from other participants, gave them a sense of empowerment to make changes at their site. Let's take a minute to review. I'm going to move on to a polling question to see if you all remember. A SMART goal is one that A, is sustainable, manageable, acceptable, realistic, and thoughtful. B, very concise and specific. C, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Or D, developed by an intelligent person. Let's take just a minute to see what you guys think on that. I think my poll, did I mess something up with the poll? I think it closed early. Well, those of you that were able to do the poll, you were correct. The answer is C, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. The goals listed on this slide are just a couple of the examples of menu planning SMART goals that were reported in the online survey following the workshop. One participant's goal was to expand the collection of standardized whole grain rich recipes to allow for a homemade whole grain rich item on the menu weekly by August 2018. Another participant's goal was that in the next 3 months, I will introduce a minimum of 1 new meal per week, focusing on introducing international meals. We also had some great examples in the food safety category. This slide shows a couple of those. One said that within the next 3 months, I would like to have had at least 2 staff-led trainings with all staff members. These trainings will ideally cover the CACFP meal pattern requirements, so all children's nutritional needs are being met. Another participant said that their goal was for kitchen and dining job aid resource sheets to be available in the kitchen and dining areas to increase awareness of food safety and proper hand washing by August 2018. Okay, let's see if I can not mess up this poll. Look at the example on the slide for add more fruits and vegetables. Is this a SMART goal? Yes, the answers will be yes, this is a SMART goal. No, this goal is not specific, measurable, or time-bound. Or C, no, this goal is not relevant to child nutrition programs. I got it this time. Okay, I'll give you guys just another second to get your answers in. Okay, I'm going to close the poll, and the majority of you are correct. Add more fruits and vegetables is not a SMART goal, and that is because it's not specific or measurable. So I'm going to move on, and we'll take a look at how we can make that a SMART goal. So again, add more fruits and vegetables is not specific or measurable. How can we make this statement a SMART goal, though? The suggestion that I came up with was changing from add more fruits and vegetables to add 1 serving of fresh fruit or vegetables weekly. By changing to this statement, we are narrowing down the statement to ensure that it's specific and we know what the desired action is. Instead of just adding more fruits and vegetables, we're changing it to say how often we'll menu fresh fruits and vegetables. We want to make the goal measurable. More is very hard to measure, but saying that 1 serving of fresh fruits and veggies will be added weekly is something that can be measured, and we'll be able to show whether or not the goal was accomplished. Is the goal attainable? The new one is. For many, offering 1 serving of fresh fruits and vegetables weekly is attainable. Is the goal relevant? Yes. For a child care center or daycare home provider that's trying to expose children to new foods and improve overall health, adding a serving of fresh fruits and vegetables each week is relevant to the program's objectives. Is the new goal time-bound? Yes. With the new goal, the time frame for accomplishing this goal is weekly, and it will be shown on our monthly menus. This was just one quote that we received from our workshop participants, reinforcing that they found a lot of benefit to hearing from their peers as they developed goals. The participants said that the training provided tools and resources from partners, but more importantly from peers who are in the day-to-day trenches. Another participant said, I can now better understand the resources available and how breaking down what we think is a major challenge into smaller portions that can be solved. So we mentioned that this workshop was held as part of KSDE's 2016 Team Nutrition Training Grant. What role did Kansas Team Nutrition play in helping Kansas CACFP sponsors through this process? Well, in addition to presenting as a community partner at the workshop, Kansas Team Nutrition has provided one-on-one technical assistance to participants since the workshop to help make progress and achieve their goals. One of the ways to best help participants stick with a goal is to revisit the original goals after a set amount of time. Team Nutrition created an online survey that was sent to all participants to share a SMART goal and rate how they were doing on implementing that goal. We also encouraged the participants and mentors to share contact information to act as resources to one another. To build upon the success of the first Team Up for CACFP workshop, Kansas Team Nutrition will be holding another workshop next month, or in November of 2018, Feedback from our sponsors has helped determine the topics most needed for the next workshop. Topics in this coming November will be menu planning and administration of the CACFP. Overall impact of the Team Up workshops will be rolled into KSDE's Team Nutrition Training Grant Program evaluation. As part of the evaluation program for KSDE's 2016 Team Nutrition Training Grant, we have developed a Kansas Best Practices Survey, which has now been distributed 2 times to all CACFP sponsors in the state. This survey addresses the food environment, food and beverage offerings, nutrition education, professional development, and other topics related to wellness in the child care environment. The Team Up for CACFP Success Workshop is just one project written into our 2016 Team Nutrition Training Grant. And in addition to linking responses from the Kansas Best Practices Survey, is also being evaluated through follow-up surveys with the individual Team Up participants. This slide is just to give a quick summary of the Kansas Best Practices Survey to show that in 2017, the survey was sent out to all CACFP sponsors in the state, representing both child care centers and daycare home providers, for a sample size of 3,554. We had a total of 1,564 responses to the survey, so a great response rate. We're still in the process of compiling data from the Best Practices Survey and linking it to grant projects such as the Team Up for CACFP Success Workshop, but we were very pleased to see the response to the survey and hope to gather some great data from the evaluation program to continue developing resources and training that's relevant to the need of CACFP sponsors. Again, the Team Up training model has had very positive responses from Kansas CACFP sponsors. You can see from the quote on the slide that participants left the workshop with some great goals and ideas for implementing those goals at their site. This participant said that this was a great roadmap to set short and long-term goals. The advantage of the SMART goal workshop for me was that my goals acted as a roadmap. After all, I'll never get anywhere if I don't have a goal or don't know where I'm going. Good organization is important with a good attitude to work more effectively and productively. This is my next SMART goal. Thank you all so much for this inspiration. This kind of training provides a much-needed opportunity for networking, peer mentoring, discussion, and brainstorming. More importantly, though, the skill to write a SMART goal and action plan was given to workshop participants to take back with them to use in day-to-day problem solving. The best part about the Team Up workshop is that the Institute of Child Nutrition has done a great job of providing detailed information and resources to hold a successful Team Up workshop. So we would definitely encourage others to look into this peer-to-peer model for helping participants learn and identify goals. KSDE will continue to use the Team Up model for future Team Up for CACFP workshops. Again, topics of menu planning and administration of the CACFP for the November 2018 workshop were determined based on evaluation feedback, as well as from discussions with the CACFP consultants and KSDE's Advisory Council. I just want to thank everybody then for having me on today to share, and I will turn it now over to Francine.
Thank you, Emily. That concludes the informational portion of our webinar for today. We will take questions in just a minute, so please go ahead and start typing them now into your chat box on your screen. While they're being entered, I will go over some post-webinar housekeeping information. After the Q&A, a post-webinar survey will pop up on your screen. We encourage you to do the brief action plan described by identifying one strategy you learned today and how you can implement it in your CACFP setting. We'd also like to hear what you enjoyed about today's presentation and additional feedback. Those of you attending the webinar for the entire hour today will receive a certificate via email by the end of the day on October 4th. Please wait until after October 4th and check your spam or junk mailboxes before inquiring about your certificate. If you are viewing the webinar with multiple people, you can print out a certificate for each person. More practice questions are available at the National CACFP Sponsors Association website at www.cacfp.org/resources/Trainers Circle. For those of you who want to submit or track continuing education credits with NCA, you can do that at that link as well. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available on the Team Nutrition website. And if you are watching this as a recorded webinar and want to receive a certificate, you can go to the National CACFP Sponsors Association website. Again, www.cacfp.org/resources/Trainers Circle to complete the post-webinar practice questions and then receive a certificate. The certificates may be sent out a few days after completing the questions. And finally, please feel free to visit our website, subscribe to our monthly e-newsletter, connect with us via email at teamnutrition@fns.usda.gov, and follow us on Twitter. So now we will take some questions. I have in the room with me Xavier Davis and Katie Hallis, colleagues here in the child nutrition programs at FNS, and they'll help me in answering the questions. So to get started, this question is for Xaviera. Are there training materials available to help with learning how to use the food buying guide?
Yes, good question. Once you access the Interactive Food Buying Guide website, if you click on the tab that says Help, you will be able to view training videos, and you can also access the user manual.
We have another question for Xaviera. Can providers still receive a certificate for the 30 on Thursday webinars if they watch the recorded version?
Yes, if you watch the recorded version of the webinar and then go to the NCA website and answer the post-webinar questions, you will be able to receive a certificate. And the web address to do that is www.cacfp.org/30 on Thursdays. And we will also include this link when we send out the certificates and post-webinar information.
Thank you. We have two questions for Lutina at the Institute of Child Nutrition. The first one is, could you repeat again the University of Oklahoma resources you mentioned? And I also put it in the chat box, the link that Lutina provided for everyone. But go ahead, Lutina.
Yeah, the K20 Center is at the University of Oklahoma, and they provide professional development resources. But among those resources is just a section dedicated to different types of activities. And so it's just in a variety of different ways just to reach the participant in a training. So if you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out. The website is in the chat box, as Francille mentioned. And yeah, they provide a variety of great resources as far as activities go.
Thank you, Lutina. And one more question for you. Could you go over the 90-28 rule again?
Yeah, so the 90-28 rule by Bob Pike, it basically says that no lesson is no longer than 90 minutes. And that you chunk your content in 20-minute sections. So that would be one objective should be no more than 20 minutes. And then you incorporate some type of interactivity or some type of activity every 8 minutes. And so that just basically keeps the training engaging and interactive at the same time.
Great, thank you. And we have a question for Emily. How did you recruit participants for the Kansas peer-to-peer program?
Well, we promoted for participants within our monthly update that we send out to all CACFP sponsors. So we sent it out promoting that we were having the workshop. And honestly, since this was the first one, we didn't know what response we'd get. And pretty much as soon as we put up the online registration form, they started coming in. So we were very pleased with the response we got for both participants and mentors. All mentors that we contacted If a couple of them had previous engagements and couldn't help us, but they were very excited to be nominated. So everybody was excited to come and to help. We did also provide a stipend both to our mentors and our participants as part of our Team Nutrition Training Grant. So mentors came, they were provided with a $150 stipend plus a travel per diem, and then participants were provided with a stipend as well to help cover the cost of being away from their site.
Great. Thank you, Emily. And thank you all for your great questions. If you have additional questions or need more clarification on any topics we discussed today, please contact your state agency or sponsoring organization. That is all we have time for today, but please know that we do read all of your chat box questions and comments, as well as the comments in the post-webinar survey, in order to continually improve these webinars and meet your needs. Thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar in January.